Good evening, and welcome to the News at 8. Today we are dealing with the controversial subject of heightened text and how it relates or differs from realism. Now over to our resident restoration expert, Hamish McMillan. Uta Hagen said to create, one has to take known elements and make something new of them. Thus I am compiling practitioner knowledge to create new and intriguing restoration scenes. The Restoration period was an amazing period for theatre, birthing the works of John Dryden, George Etheridge and William Congreve. However, today we focus on William Wycherley's The Country Wife. This period was a vibrant tableau of heightened archetypal characters such as the fop, the rake and the cuckold. My character is Mr. Pinchwife, a cuckold, a man whose wife is cheating on him with another man, in this case with a rake, a man who is accustomed to immoral activities, particularly womanizing, named Horner. The characters' names during this era are another example of heightened writing. By naming him Horner, it is a pretense to his outlandishly horny behaviour, yet another instance of heightened text laying information at the audience's feet. When dealing with plays from a bygone era, the actor has to be careful with the historical context. One way of doing this is Stanislavski's given circumstances. You would achieve success in this by researching the events before the play and then filling in the gaps with educated guesswork, such as what the characters' childhoods were like, because this will affect their actions on stage. Breaking news. Hamish is struggling with asides. Over to him to find out why. Asides in the Restoration period are a way for characters to express their inner thoughts, thus breaking the fourth wall. This differs from realism because in realism the actor's inner thoughts are hidden within the inner monologue, the thoughts that are going through our minds while speaking or listening to others. Restoration does not rely on the secrecy of an inner monologue. To tackle this, I read Brecht in Practice by David Barnett, within which he comments on Brecht's Verfemdung effect. Surprise is generated by making that which the spectators thought they already knew strange or peculiar. Using this information, I made the asides more outlandish by elevating facial expressions and movements. This surprises my audience because despite them already being aware I'm angry within my country wife scene, it surprises them to see me show it in such a grotesque manner. In other news, a storm is brewing in Shakespearean England. Over to Hamish for more. Well, it's quite literally raining cats and dogs here, Hamish. And why? Because of Lee Strasberg's animal study, helping you build a deeper physical characterization of any role. Over to Shakespeare, Hamish, for more. Thanks, Hamish. Animal study can be used within both heightened text and performances aimed at realism. However, with realism, this technique isn't obvious as you would only portray about 5% animal physicalization, leaving the other 95% human. On the other hand, with heightened text, the physicalization needs to be heightened too, and so I chose to perform as 25% animal and 75% human. My choice of animal was an injured snake, following my research watching cunning snakes contort and restrict while dying. Laban efforts are also vital towards my characterization. Laban efforts are employed in both realism and heightened text. They are described within Vanessa Ewan and Kate Zagowski's book, Laban Efforts in Action, as a way of identifying the quality of our movements during action. It affects the actor's voice and physicality. However, its use differs from realism much the same way as animal study does, because in realism we wouldn't over-exaggerate the Laban effort, but in my heightened Shakespeare monologue I really amplify my Laban effort. For example, ring, to create more of an impression within my vocal and physical transformation. We've got to move on from physicality, unfortunately. Now to our iambic expert for more on the meter. Shakespearean text employs a range of meters. I am focusing on iambic pentameter, the most common meter in English verse. It consists of a line 10 syllables long that is accented on every second beat, as it is what's used within my Shakespearean monologue. In Stephen Fry's book, The Ode Less Travelled, he tells us that each English word has its own weight and push as we speak it within a sentence. Taking this into account, iambic pentameter has similarities with realism texts due to the fact that it's used to create vocal colour, a necessity for any scene. Yet iambic pentameter contrasts with realism because in realism texts, for example, Birdland, do not give examples of how lines should be said, leaving that task to the actor's discretion. Iambic pentameter is used to portray the emotion of Shakespearean verse and can be stuck to religiously. Now is the winter of our discontent. Or it can be used as a guideline. Now is the winter of our discontent. I know this because Cicely Berry said the metric stress does not always coincide with the sense stress, so to stress it only metrically makes nonsense of the sense. In iambic pentameter, the verse should usually end on a masculine stressed ending. However, if the line has 11 syllables, it usually ends on an unstressed syllable, making it a feminine ending. If a character breaks off from perfect iambic, it is commonly a precursor to the character's mental state deteriorating. Enjambment is the continuation of a thought beyond the end of a verse line and up to the punctuation instead. This is similar to realism, as the character's intent would also continue until the punctuation halts it. Here's an example. Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by this son of York. But with enjambment, it sounds like this. Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by this son of York. That's all we've got time for. Thank you and good night.